Time to finally epoxy the kitchen island. This was my preliminary design. And this is what it looks like. Kind of close, minus the mess because I'm prepping. Whenever you do epoxy, make sure you wrap everything in plastic and get the tape way up under there. You don't want it dripping onto your cabinets. Here is a rough sketch of how I'm going to make the veins in the island. I am matching the pattern that I already have on the kitchen counters. I'm not sure how it's going to work on the island though, because it's such a big space. I'm going through making final checks, making sure that the floors are covered. I will tape down these plastics so that nothing leaks through. I'm also putting paper over the plastic, just where I walk around. If I know me, I'm going to step in epoxy at some point, so this is an added barrier. I've set up a little table with all my supplies. I got my epoxy, a jar of acetone, tweezers, the little mixy thing, and this container I'm going to use for measuring. Stonecoat Countertop is actually formulated for kitchens, so I recommend using that over just regular epoxy. Oh, and make sure you have a box of gloves handy. It drives me crazy how many gloves I go through, but it's a must. So I'm going to lightly sand the whole island, just to make sure I don't have any bumps. And now that everything's covered in plastic and paper and everything's prepped, I'm ready to start doing the epoxy. I'm using this yogurt container to measure, and I'm putting the thinner stuff in first, and then the thicker stuff on top. You want to make sure you have a big mixing pitcher, and I just got that at Dollar Tree. I'm marking the level of the liquid because I'm going to have to match that with the other epoxy. So mix equal parts of A and B, and then blend for 2 minutes. Once the epoxy is fully mixed, you want to add in your powders. I am using white mica to get this white pearly look. I always add a skim coat of epoxy over the entire surface. The epoxy flows smoother when it's flowing over itself than just the plain wood. Into a bigger bucket, I'm going to pour some of the pearl mixture, and I'm going to add a couple of squirts of spray paint. I was only using silver and gold. I added the gold streaks on the camera right side and a little silver, and now I'm going to go through and stipple it with a brush. As the epoxy settles, the colors kind of change shape. This whole end of the island is where we used it a lot, so I have to cover it up with some silver and gold. Next, time to get my respirator on. I got to run the blowtorch over the epoxy to get rid of the bubbles and to feather this paint. I'm also just using a brush in some places. What I like about Stonecoat Countertops brand is that you have plenty of time to do all this. You can meld and work on this stuff for over an hour. This is what it looked like at the end before I ripped the tape off the sides, which you want to do an hour to 2 hours after, sometimes 45 minutes if it's really hot. You want to scrape around the edges to get all the drips and keep checking for bubbles. This is what it looked like the next day. And because it was such a large area, I am going to go ahead and sand this whole thing down. I do have some bumps here in the middle. Just like I did with the desk, I'm going to add a whole clear layer of epoxy after I sand. I'll also be adding a sealer from Stonecoat Countertops. But it did come out nice. Like, I'm actually surprised. I was really worried about this island thing, like having total anxiety. It's still not 100% done. I have to do all the trim above the cabinets, and I have to hang this light above the island. I bought this beautiful vintage swag lamp. And I have to epoxy the backsplash and then install that. And Manuel will come back and do the crown molding. Here's a final look at my kitchen with my vintage stove in the background.